You're listening to the Small Business Accelerator podcast, accelerating success, one founder at a time.
With your hosts, Roger Bryant and Sarah Wilson.
We support small business owners, the little guys. We're here to help you win in today's landscape.
Join us each week as we reveal powerful strategies for small business owners that save you time and money.
Because we believe every small business owner should have access to Fortune 500 style strategies without breaking the bank.
Subscribe now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to accelerate your small business success.
Hey, everyone. Feeling that pressure of trying to juggle, work and life?
Oh, tell me about it.
It's like a universal struggle these days, right?
Absolutely.
Well, good news. Our listeners sent in some super interesting sources on work-life integration.
Oh, fantastic.
So we're going to dive deep and see if we can maybe uncover some game-changing tips. We've got the secret to work-life integration, automate your boundaries, and an online course called Automations Made Easy.
Love that title.
Right. Secrets and easy solutions. Who knew?
Yeah, right.
So let's jump right in. One thing that struck me is that both sources kind of ditch the whole work-life balance idea.
Yeah, that old model. It's like trying to keep these two separate worlds perfectly balanced.
Right.
Just doesn't really work in today's world, does it?
Not at all.
So these sources are talking about work-life integration instead.
Okay, so instead of separating work and life, we should embrace the blend. I'm intrigued, but also, a little skeptical.
I get it. It's not so much about, a full-on blend as it is, I think, a recognition that the lines have just gotten blurry.
Yeah, true.
And they probably won't ever go back. This work-life integration is more about finding strategies to make those two worlds, work together, but in a way that actually makes you happier, makes you feel better. Not just about being more productive, which is, kind of the old way of thinking about it.
Okay, I'm starting to come around to this idea, but how do we actually do it?
Right. It's great to talk about it. But
exactly.
Both sources and Automations Made Easy in particular really point to automation as a key tool.
Automation, huh? So we're talking about using tech to make life easier. I'm already feeling less stressed. But where do we even start? It all feels so overwhelming, like a million apps and gadgets and things.
I know what you mean. It can be a lot. But Automations Made Easy, it actually gives you a pretty clear roadmap.
Okay, good.
The first step, choosing the right tools for the job. They even help you find cost-effective options so you're not, breaking the bank.
Phew, that's a relief. Okay, so we've got our tools. What's next? Automate everything.
Whoa there. Not so fast. The course really stresses the importance of being, choosy. Pick your tasks carefully.
Okay, so what kind of tasks should we be looking at?
The ones that are, real-time sucks.
Time sucks.
Things you do over and over and over.
Yeah, okay.
And things that can be standardized so you can actually, create a system for them.
Ah, systems. Got it. So not just randomly automating every little thing.
Right. Otherwise, you might just end up with a bigger mess.
So strategic automation, that's the key.
Exactly. Be intentional about it.
Okay, I can get behind that. But I have to admit, the thought of actually designing these automated systems, it's a little intimidating. Am I techie enough for this?
You totally got this.
Yeah.
Automations Made Easy is designed for beginners.
Okay.
They walk you through it step by step. They even have pre-made templates. Can you believe it? They really emphasize starting small, mastering the basics, and then you kind of level up from there.
Okay, phew. That makes me feel much better. So, imagine this. We've successfully automated a bunch of stuff. We're swimming in free time. Everything's running smoothly. But doesn't that make it even harder to set boundaries between work and life? I mean, if work is always a click away, it's tempting to just keep going, right?
Oh, that's such a good point. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Technology can make it way harder to switch off. That's why the secret to work-life integration, it really stresses the importance of setting boundaries.
Okay, so boundaries even in this increasingly integrated world.
Yes, even more important now.
But what kind of boundaries are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Well, it starts with communication.
Okay.
You got to be upfront with your colleagues, your clients, even your family.
Oh, yeah.
About your work hours, your availability.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say, hey, I need some downtime.
Yeah, that can be tough, right?
It can feel awkward at first. But honestly, setting those expectations can prevent so many misunderstandings and resentments down the line.
That's true.
And you know what? The secret to work-life integration also dives into this whole psychology of boundaries.
Oh, interesting.
It talks about how when we don't set limits, we're actually risking burnout. We risk strained relationships And it can even lead to, like, serious mental health issues.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
boundaries aren't just about being organized. They're
Right.
like essential for our well-being.
Exactly. It's a bigger deal than we often realize. And the good news is both sources offer some really practical tools and strategies to help us actually get there. We'll dig into those next time. But before we do, what's resonating with you so far? What are you thinking?
Honestly, that whole mental health angle on boundaries, that really hit home for me. I
Yeah.
think I tend to just like power through, like thinking boundaries are just about time management or something.
Right.
Clearly, there's a deeper level to all of this. Okay, enough about me. You mentioned that the sources offer some like specific tools and strategies to actually put this all into action.
They do, yeah. Tons of actionable tips, but a few that really stand out. The secret to work-life integration, it talks about this thing called the satisfaction assessment tool.
Okay.
Sounds kind of fancy,
Yeah.
but it's actually a pretty simple exercise. It's all
Yeah.
about getting this like visual snapshot
Right.
of how satisfied you are in different areas of your life.
Okay.
Work, relationships, health, personal growth, hobbies, all that.
I like simple.
Yeah, exactly. You can even just like draw a wheel, divide it into segments. Each segment is an area of your life, and you just rate your satisfaction in each.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of helps you pinpoint where you might need to focus your energy to create more balance, more fulfillment.
I like that, like a visual representation of where you're at.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. What other tools do they suggest?
Well, the secret to work-life integration also talks about the importance of SMART goals.
SMART goals. Yeah, I've heard of those.
You probably know the acronym. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. But what I found really interesting is how the source applies this to work-life integration.
Oh, okay.
Give me an example.
Yeah, an example would be great.
Okay, so let's say your goal is to improve your work-life balance by reducing like how much you work in the evenings.
Okay, yeah.
A SMART goal could be something like, I will finish all my work tasks by 6 p.m. 3 nights a week for the next month.
Okay, yeah.
See how that's specific?
Huh.
It's measurable, achievable, relevant to your bigger goal, and it has a deadline.
Right. So it's about moving beyond like vague intentions and creating a plan you can actually stick to. Okay,
Yeah.
I love that. Any other gems in there?
Oh, there's this fun one. The secret to work-life integration has this visualization. They call it the Big Rocks and Little Rocks exercise.
Big rocks and little rocks. Okay, I'm intrigued. Sounds kind of zen.
It is. It's like this. Imagine you have a jar,
Mm.
and you have to fit in a bunch of rocks. Big rocks represent your top priorities.
Okay. Family, health.
Yeah, exactly. Meaningful work, personal growth, the
Mhm.
things that really matter.
Got it.
The little rocks, those are all the smaller, less urgent things. Emails, social media, errands, all that stuff.
Okay.
So if you fill the jar with the little rocks first, guess what?
No room for the big rocks.
Exactly. No room for the things that truly matter. But if you put the big rocks in first, the little rocks will just naturally fill in the gaps.
Wow, that's a powerful visual, isn't it? Really puts things in perspective. Got to prioritize those big rocks. What else? What else?
Automations Made Easy takes a slightly different angle. They actually have a whole section on monetizing your automation skills.
Wait, really? You can make money from this stuff. Tell me more. Tell me more.
It's pretty cool. They're basically saying that the skills you develop by, automating your own work life, you can turn them into a side hustle, maybe even a whole business.
Okay, now that's interesting. What kind of things are they suggesting?
Like, you could offer virtual assistant services, specialize in setting up automations for small businesses, or even like creating and selling automation templates. They're saying there's a growing demand for people with these skills.
Makes sense. Everyone's trying to be more efficient these days, so we can streamline our own lives and maybe even help others do the same and make some extra cash in the process.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, Automations Made Easy seems pretty focused on the positive side automation, but the secret to work-life integration doesn't shy away from the potential downsides, right?
Yeah, it definitely acknowledges that technology, while it can be amazing, it's also...
It's a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to work-life integration. One of the big things they highlight is the impact of intelligent automation on various industries.
Okay, so like AI and all that.
Exactly. And they dive into some pretty interesting case studies, like the healthcare industry, using things like AI and robots to, streamline processes.
Yeah, it makes sense. Healthcare involves so many tasks that are like repetitive and time-consuming. So if you could automate some of those, it would free up healthcare professionals to spend more time with patients.
Exactly. And that's what the source points out. In some cases, automation has really had a positive impact on healthcare.
Okay, good.
But they also raise some concerns about this thing called work intensification.
Work intensification. What's that?
It's kind of counterintuitive. So you'd think, okay, we're automating tasks. That should reduce the workload, right?
Right. Yeah.
But what they're finding is that sometimes, even though certain tasks are being done by machines, the overall workload for employees actually goes up.
Wait, how does that even happen?
Well, because as machines take over some things, new responsibilities often get shifted onto human workers.
Oh, so it's like filling the gap. So in the healthcare example, even if some administrative tasks are automated, nurses and doctors might end up with even more paperwork or other duties to compensate.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And the secret to work-life integration specifically mentions electronic health records, EHRs. They were supposed to improve efficiency, but in a lot of cases, they've actually added to the burden for healthcare professionals.
Ah.
It's like a classic case of technology.
Yeah.
Good intentions, unintended consequences.
Yeah. That's a great point. It shows that we really need to think carefully about how we implement automation. Make sure it's actually leading to a reduction in workload and not just a shift in the burden. What other industries did they look at?
They also talk about the banking and financial services industry,
Mm-hmm.
where they're using automation to, speed up transaction processing, improve customer service, all that. And there have definitely been some positive outcomes.
Okay, good.
But the source also raises concerns about job displacement.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one, right? If machines are taking over certain roles, what happens to the people who used to do those jobs?
Exactly. And the secret to work-life integration really emphasizes that we need to be mindful of that human impact. It's not just about making things more efficient. It's about making sure that workers are reskilled, they're supported as their jobs change.
Right, right. It's not just about the tech, it's about the people.
Exactly. And it's not just about the practical stuff either. The secret to work-life integration also spends time addressing, the psychological and emotional side of this whole automation trend.
Which makes sense, right? A lot of people are worried about AI taking over jobs or even like becoming too powerful.
Totally. And the source acknowledges those fears, but it encourages us to take a more nuanced perspective. They really emphasize the importance of education and understanding.
So instead of being afraid of AI, we should learn about it.
Exactly. Understand what it can do, what it can't do, and, be part of the conversation about how it's developed and used.
Right. Be informed. Be empowered. Don't just sit back and let it happen.
That's it. It's not humans versus machines. It's about finding ways to work together to create a better future for everyone.
I like that. Okay, this whole conversation has really got me thinking. Work-life integration, it's not just about tools and strategies. It's also about adapting to a world that's changing so fast. And it sounds like the secret to work-life integration offers some guidance on navigating all of that.
It does, yeah. One of the big things it talks about is the importance of regular self-assessment.
The self-assessment, huh?
Yeah, like taking a step back, evaluating how things are going, your work arrangements, your boundaries, how satisfied you are with your work-life blend, all of that.
You know what? That's something I struggle with. I just tend to keep pushing forward, never really stopping to think if it's actually working for me.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind and lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But the source really argues that self-reflection is, crucial for maintaining a healthy relationship with work.
Okay. Give me some concrete examples. What kind of questions should I be asking myself?
Well, it can be as simple as, am I happy with my current work setup?
Yeah.
Are my boundaries being respected? Do I have enough time for things that are important to me outside of work? Those kinds of things.
Right. So it's like checking your work-life temperature, make sure you're not burning out. But it's not just about our external situation, right? We also need to think about how we're using technology, especially now that work is so blended with our personal lives.
Oh, absolutely. And the secret to work-life integration dives right into that. They talk about taking ownership of a relationship with technology.
Okay, I'm already feeling a little guilty about how much time I spend scrolling.
It's not about guilt. It's about awareness. It's about being intentional. Ask yourself, is technology helping me achieve my goals, or is it getting in the way?
Hmm.
Am I using it mindfully, or is it kind of controlling me?
Those are really good questions. I'm not sure I always like the answers.
It's okay. It's about being honest with ourselves. And then, making adjustments.
So what are some of the things they suggest to kind of get back in control?
They talk about creating tech-free zones in your life.
Oh, like a digital detox.
Kind of, yeah. It could be designating certain times of day as unplugged.
Okay.
Or even creating spaces in your home where technology is off limits. It's about reclaiming your time and attention
Yeah, I like that.
and focusing on things that actually nourish you.
Yeah.
both personally and professionally.
Right, right. Making space for the good stuff. Okay. This is all really resonating with me. I'm definitely going to try some of these things.
Awesome. And, they also talk about something else that's super important, the role of other people in supporting your work-life integration journey.
Ah, yeah, we talked about the importance of having a tribe earlier.
Exactly. The secret to work-life integration really emphasizes that you don't have to do this alone.
Yeah,
Having a supportive network, friends, family, colleagues, mentors, it can make all the difference.
because they get it, right? They understand the struggles.
Exactly. They can offer encouragement, help you stay accountable to your goals.
And it's not just about receiving support, it's about giving it too, right?
Absolutely. By
Mm.
sharing your own journey, offering encouragement, just being a listening ear,
Yeah.
you can play a huge role in someone else's work-life integration as well.
It's a two-way street. Love that. As we're wrapping up this part of the discussion, one of the key takeaways for me is that work-life integration, it's not a destination, it's an ongoing process. It's about constantly experimenting, adapting, finding what works for you, especially as your life changes.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And you know what? That brings us to a really important point, that the secret to work-life integration spends quite a bit of time exploring the whole evolving nature of work, especially when it comes to remote arrangements.
Yeah, remote work. It feels like it's here to stay for a lot of us.
Yeah,
It really does feel like the pandemic kind of accelerated that whole shift toward remote work.
for sure. And the secret to work-life integration really dives into how that shift is impacting this whole work-life integration thing. For one, it really, really blurs the boundaries between work and personal life,
Mm-hmm.
even more than before.
Yeah,
When your office is also your kitchen table,
right?
it can be tough to switch off mentally.
Oh, tell me about it. I constantly feel like I'm on when my workspace is 2 steps away from my couch. It's so easy to just check emails one last time before bed or answer messages during dinner.
Yeah, it's a super common experience for remote workers.
Yeah.
The book talks about how this blurring of boundaries can lead to longer work hours, increased stress, even a feeling of being trapped in your own home. It's like, the commute disappeared, but so did that mental separation between work and personal time.
Right, we've lost those natural breaks and transitions that used to help us shift gears.
Exactly. And that's why all those strategies we talked about, setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, having a supportive network, they all become even more important when you're working remotely.
Makes sense.
But the secret to work-life integration also emphasizes that both individuals and the organizations need to adapt their mindsets
Okay.
and their approaches to work in this new landscape.
Okay, so what kind of adaptations are we talking about? Give me some specifics.
Well, for individuals, it's about being super intentional about creating structure and boundaries in their day.
Okay, so setting specific work hours,
Yes.
having a designated workspace,
Exactly.
maybe even some kind of ritual to mark the beginning and end of the workday.
Love that. It's about recreating those cues that used to exist in a traditional office.
Right, right. To help our brains know when it's time to work and when it's time to chill. Okay, those are great tips. I'm going to try incorporating some of those. But what about organizations? What can they do to support work-life integration for remote employees?
The book argues that companies need to shift away from this whole culture of presenteeism.
Presenteeism, yeah.
Yeah.
Just being there for the sake of being there.
Exactly. And embrace a more results-oriented approach.
So instead of focusing on how many hours employees are logged in, focus on the actual work they're producing.
Yes. Trust employees to manage their own time effectively
Okay.
and focus on the value they're creating.
That's a big shift for a lot of companies. But it sounds like it would make a huge difference. What else? What else can organizations do?
The book also highlights the importance of clear communication, transparent expectations, making sure everyone knows what's expected of them,
Mm-hmm.
how their work fits into the bigger picture.
Yeah,
They can reduce so much stress and uncertainty.
for sure. And finally, they emphasize the need for flexibility, right? That seems to be a theme throughout all these sources.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
really the cornerstone of work-life integration, whether you're working remotely or in a traditional office.
It's about recognizing that everyone has different needs, different schedules, different ways of working.
And finding ways to accommodate those differences
Mm-hmm.
while still, achieving shared goals.
It's about creating a work culture that values individual well-being as much as productivity.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the human side of things, but I can't help but think about technology. It's a double-edged sword, right? How does that play out in a remote work context?
Right. Well, On the one hand, technology is what makes remote work even possible.
Right.
It allows us to connect, collaborate, access information from anywhere.
So it's like a powerful tool for enabling flexibility and, in a way, for supporting work-life integration.
Exactly. But as we've been saying, it's all about using it intentionally, using it mindfully.
Setting boundaries, managing notifications, creating those tech-free zones
Yeah.
to prevent burnout and maintain some sense of balance.
Yeah. And in a remote work context, it's even more important because the temptation to always be connected is so much stronger.
Because it's so easy to feel like you're on all the time when work is just a click away.
Exactly. So it's about really taking charge of your technology use, creating those boundaries to protect your time and your energy. It's about establishing healthy habits and rituals, right? That help you feel good, help you feel balanced, and prevent you from feeling overwhelmed by that constant flow of information.
Right. And that brings us back to self-awareness, which seems to be a key theme in everything we've talked about today.
Yeah, definitely. It's about taking that time to reflect on what you need.
Yeah.
Your work style, your relationship with technology, how all those things are impacting your well-being.
Exactly. Checking in with yourself regularly, making sure you're still on the right path, making adjustments as needed. And it's not just about reflecting on your own situation, but also being aware of how your actions are impacting the people around you.
So like being mindful of how our communication style, our boundaries, our expectations, how all of that is affecting our colleagues, our families, our friends.
Yes, it's about fostering a culture of empathy and respect and open communication.
Whether we're working remotely or in person, those are essential for a positive and productive work environment.
For sure. And for maintaining those healthy relationships outside of work, too.
Because ultimately, work-life integration, it's about creating a life that feels, whole. It's about having a career that's fulfilling and energizing, but also having time and space for the people and activities that matter to you outside of work.
It really is about designing a life that feels good, that feels aligned with your values and priorities.
And that's a journey worth taking. Even if it's not always easy, it's something to strive for.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought, something inspired by the secret to work-life integration. We talked about the power of automation, all the amazing things it can do to free up our time and energy.
It can be a real game changer if you use it strategically.
Absolutely. But here's a question to ponder. What's one small automation you could implement this week? Something that would make a noticeable difference in your life.
It could be something as simple as setting up an email filter, scheduling your social media posts in advance, or automating a repetitive task in your workflow. Even if it just saves you 15 minutes or reduces a tiny bit of stress.
It might seem small, but those little wins can really add up.
Yeah, for sure.
And they can inspire you to keep exploring new ways to streamline your life. Create more space for the things that matter most. Remember, work-life integration is a journey, not a destination.
It's about finding what works for you.
And adapting as your life changes. So be patient, experiment, and don't be afraid to ask for help along the way.
We're all in this together.
We are. Striving for a more balanced, fulfilling, integrated life. And hey, if you discover any brilliant automations or time-saving tricks, we'd love to hear about them.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep exploring the possibilities.
Thanks for tuning in to the Small Business Accelerator podcast.
We really hope today's strategies help you grow your business without breaking the bank.
Don't forget to check the show notes for links to resources we've handpicked for small business success.
If you found value in today's episode, it would make our day if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And stay tuned for our next episode. Next time, we'll reveal yet another game-changing strategy that's revolutionizing how small businesses on a shoestring budget take on giant corporations and accelerate their success.
Until then, keep accelerating your success.
This is Sarah Wilson.
And Roger Bryant, signing off.